Hi guys, today I'm going to show you a video tutorial on how to speed up HTML and CSS development by using Chrome browser tools. I added a link in the video description so that you can download the resource materials that I'm using for this video, and you can learn by doing and following along. So I'm just going to go ahead and download the materials, and then I'm going to extract the content of the zip directory. And I'm gonna go inside the extracted directory and we'll open the index.html file in my Chrome browser. I'm just gonna drag and drop. So there you go. In order to access the browser tools, you can either right click on the page and click inspect, or you can use the Ctrl+Shift+I shortcut. If your browser tools don't show up on the right hand side and you want to have them on the right hand side, you can click on the triple dots on the top right corner of the browser tools and then select dock right, and we can have a look inside the elements tab. So you'll be able to see the DOM structure of my index.html file. And as you can see, it's just some basic HTML with some styling. It's nothing too complicated. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a description of the content from here. So I just have a header 1 and header 2 element, div element with some class from some styling from a class. And then we have an article with a section and a paragraph. Okay. Now, probably you've noticed this, but if I hover over any of the elements inside the body, you can see this get highlighted in the web page. So I can achieve the opposite behavior by clicking on the select element icon. And from here, I can select any item I want from the browser and will get highlighted inside the elements tab. If you look below the elements panel, there is also a second panel containing a few different tabs. The styles tab changes as you select a different element, and it gives you the properties of the element, the ones inherited from different classes and from the browser and other bits. You can also see a box size model on the right hand side, which give you an idea on what kind of setup you've done for the element that you're looking at. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the section element. As you can see, I've set 20 pixels margin, and then border 3 pixels, padding 10 pixels, and then width and height have been automatically set by the browser. So if you just scroll down, you'll see all these properties for individual sides, like a left, right, a bottom, and you can also edit in the browser by unticking the boxes, so that you can remove some of the properties or styling that you've done. So I can remove, for example, the margin, I can hide the border, and if I tick them back, the browser will update instantly. And I cannot change any of the user agent style sheet, so I cannot make any kind of changes to the styling that it received by default. But I can override this kind of styling. So for example, for section, the display is block, but I can edit the element style, so I can make it inline. For example, I'll just make it inline, and as you can see, the section just got shrunk, and now it's on top of other elements. I don't want that, so I'm just gonna untick the box. Okay, any kind of changes that you make in here, they won't take effect, and they won't override the file that you're working on, so you're kind of safe. If you simply reload the page, as you can see, all the changes that you made disappeared. If you want to save the changes that you make in the browser, I'll show you how to do that a bit later on. Now I'm gonna show you how you can edit HTML that you already got here. So you just right click on the element that you want to edit, and select edit as HTML option. And from here, you can add other nodes, other elements, such as, let's say, a paragraph that says paragraph. Okay, and you can also edit whatever you already had. So I'll make here tutorial 234. And once I click outside of the editable text area, those changes took place in the browser. It's really good making these changes so you can see how it looks like. Normally I do this for styling, not for the actual HTML, but it's good to know they're in place there. So now we're gonna head to the other tabs that we have in below the elements panel. So we have event listeners. Normally these show whenever you've set up any kind of events for the element that you currently selected, such that normally buttons or other elements have this kind of event listeners or links maybe. Then you can select the properties. In here, if you click on the chevron icons, you can see all the properties for the header one, such that I can see its content, I can see the size, width, and any kind of events that I've set for this element. The accessibility tab shows you any kind of setup you've done for users with disabilities. Some users struggle understanding some of the content from page, and you might want to add this kind of properties so that they find their way on the web page. I'm not gonna discuss it too much about this, so I'll go ahead to the styles tab. And as you can see, the default HTML from the browser is there, and I can override it, or I can use some of the suggestion made by the browser console. So from here, I can add the text shadow, and as you can see, you have like an interface for doing that. Don't really like text shadow, so I'm just gonna tick this box. I'm gonna add a box shadow. Box shadow gives you an outside kind of shadow, so we can add some blurry. Okay, there you go. So I'm just gonna tick the box for text shadow so it disappears. And as you can see, it gives you like a 3D kind of feeling of the element. You can also add a color for the text, and it's really cool that you have a color picker. And as you can see from here, you can also pick colors from the page if this is selected. So you can make it black, for example, or you can make it yellow. And as you can see, the styling changes here, or you can just select from the colors available. You can also do a different kind of behavior with any of the elements that have selected pseudo classes, such that the anchor link, for example, has some default behavior from the browser. So if I click on the colon hove button, I can trigger some of the states, such that active, and then you can see the color of the active anchor element, or how it looks like on visited. But I'm gonna tick the active box. So as visited looks purple, as active looks red. Okay, I can add additional classes, so I can get a new class for this element. For example, I'll call it link. Even though I don't have this class, I can create it later on. So I can edit from the sources, or I can edit the inline HTML. So I can add it here just by doing edit as HTML. I can add a new class called link, and I'm just gonna change the font size to 3 rem. Okay, and once I click outside of the editable text area, these changes take place. And as you can see, the anchor element increase the font size. Okay. Now if we want to save the changes that we've just done in the browser, we simply need to click on Ctrl S, and we're gonna go ahead and head to the location where we store these files, and we're gonna override the existing source file. So I'm just gonna click save. The file explorer will ask me if I want to replace it. I'll just click yes, and now if I refresh the page, the changes stay there. Okay. You can also use the source tab to access any of the other files that are part of the directory you're working with. If you click the page tab, you'll see all the files that you are using in here. And then if you click on the file system, you can add the folder that you're currently working with. So I'm just gonna add the whole folder. I'm gonna allow DevTools to have access to the directory that I'm using. And from here, I can make changes even to the CSS file. Let's say I'll add for the whole body that the background color will be blue. Alice blue, yeah. Probably Alice blue is not a good idea, but rather I'll just choose blue so you can actually see the change taking effect. If the change that you made does not take instantly effect in the browser, it might mean that Chrome tools did something that is a common behavior, which is that if you go back to the Elements tab and you check the style sheet, you will see that it's pointing to a different location for the style sheet. And if you're going back to the folder location and you check the downloads, you'll notice that there's a new directory, index_files, and here you have the CSS file. If you want to make changes on the file and update it, you'll need to also update the link in here so that the index.html file is pointing to the right location. You do edit as HTML, and then you remove the other parts that point to a different location. So you just leave basic.css, and then you click outside the box. You'll see the changes that we just made in the basic CSS file actually took place. So I guess this sums up everything that you need to know on how to deal with HTML and CSS changes that you make in the browser and saving those changes in the files. Also, Chrome DevTools has another tool that you can make use of if you want to develop responsive websites. So you can click on the mobile and tablet icon on the top left corner of the Chrome DevTools. And once you select it, you can choose a device of choice to check how your web page will look like on them. So I'll just select iPhone 6, 7, 8. And you can also rotate the device to see the landscape view if you click on the rotate icon. And you can also check on tablets, for example, an iPad, and also achieve same behavior by rotating. And you can also see any kind of styling that you've done so that you can make changes for this particular device. So we don't have any media queries for this. I guess you will be fine. I do hope you find this video useful, and thanks for watching.